This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the afternoon of Monday, March 20th, 2023. I'm Alex Brown. The Purdue University Airport is partnering with Saab and Ericsson to create a 5G network to support research that could help improve operations and security at airports, the university announced today. Purdue said the Life to Lab project will serve as a proving ground for academics, researchers, and business to test 5G innovations in real-life scenarios. George Mulhern with Ericsson said the collaboration will enable efforts to help solve aviation market needs, such as improving flight safety, enhanced passenger experience, as well as increased efficiencies and cost savings. Hancock County manufacturer Tech Castings is celebrating the grand opening of its expanded facility today. The company, which makes super alloy investment castings for the aerospace, manufacturing, and medical industries, has invested nearly $5 million to grow its presence in the town of Shirley and add 20 jobs. Michigan City-based Horizon Bancorp says it has regained compliance with the NASDAQ stock market after it successfully submitted a mandatory financial report with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. The bank says it has received notification from the NASDAQ that the issue over a tardy report submission has been resolved and the matter is closed. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Get ready, Southwest Indiana. We're headed your way. IBJ Media, Inside Indiana Business, and the Indiana Economic Development Corporation invite you to the second annual Engage Southwest Indiana event presented by Indiana University and Old National Bank, Tuesday, April 11th at the Old National Events Plaza in Evansville. We'll be diving into regional and statewide initiatives with a focus on talent, education, and issues shaping our economy. It's all about advancing the future of Indiana. More at ibj.com/engage.
An engineering professor at Purdue University and a pediatric cardiologist at Riley Hospital for Children at Indiana University Health are teaming up to find new ways to assist in the care of babies born with heart defects. Specifically, Pavlos Vlachos and Mark Payne are using a newly developed tool to address hypoplastic left heart syndrome, a condition in which the left side of the heart is underdeveloped and requires surgery within 48 hours of birth. Vlachos said his tool uses physics to analyze fetal echocardiograms to analyze the function and blood flow within the heart.
We're trying to help the surgeons make the best surgical and treatment planning decisions for the patients as early as when the baby is in gestation. Normally, the standard analysis does not provide any of that information, but with our technology, we can provide the surgeons an understanding of not only what the heart looks like, but also how it functions.
Vlachos adds the tool could be used to analyze other cardiac conditions in both children and adults. Since 2020, Steak 'n Shake has spent $50 million to eliminate table service at its restaurants in favor of self-service ordering, an investment the company says has allowed it to regain profitability after 3 straight years of losses. The corporate parent of the Indianapolis-based company is San Antonio-based Biglari Holdings. In his annual letter to shareholders last month, CEO Sardar Biglari said the elimination of table service was, quote, a textbook case of adjusting the business model rather than accepting fate. Steak 'n Shake's pre-tax profit in 2022 was $11.5 million, down from $13.5 million in 2021, but still a turnaround from the 3-year period of 2018 to 2020 when the company posted losses each year. The collapse of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank continues to send shockwaves through the banking industry. But Mike Hicks, director of the Center for Business and Economic Research at Ball State University, says Hoosiers shouldn't expect to see a big ripple effect in Indiana.
We've certainly had consolidation of banking since Glass-Steagall in the early 1990s, but it's more stabilized recently. And so we see regional banks, I think First Merchant, an example, operating in 3 or 4 states, Solid Bank. I think we're going to see fewer bigger regional banks, but I just don't see us going to a highly concentrated 4 or 5 banking national market. I don't think that's plausible.
However, our partners at the IBJ report the Indiana Public Retirement System is keeping a close eye on its investment in a debt fund managed by SVB Capital, a venture capital firm that is a subsidiary of Silicon Valley Bank's parent company, but separate from the bank. Chicago-based marketing and packaging firm R.R. Donnelley & Sons Company plans to close its plant in Plainfield, ending employment for 79 workers. Here's Gary Dick.
Citing changing market conditions, the company said in a letter to the Indiana Department of Workforce Development last week that the closure would be permanent. R.R. Donnelley's 270,000 square foot plant in Plainfield provides final stage product assembly, medical device kitting, direct-to-consumer web fulfillment, and point-of-purchase display assembly. The company said it will terminate employees over a 2-week period beginning May 14. The employees are not represented by a union. Founded in 1864 by Richard Robert Donnelly, R.R. Donnelly was once the world's largest commercial printer, but the business has gone through major changes over the years due to weakening demand for many printed products. In 2016, the then $11.7 billion conglomerate split into 3 separate companies. Last year, the business was acquired in a deal valued at about $2.5 billion by private equity firm Chatham Asset Management. This is Gary Dick for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.
Lucas Oil Products President Morgan Lucas is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports, and entertainment, and beyond. Available now from your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.